ever been captivated by someone's stories to the point where you hang on their every word? That's the power of masterful storytelling. In today's video, we'll go over how you can tell stories that'll make you irresistible with people around you. For this, we'll be looking at 3 techniques that Matt Damon uses to tell amazing stories and what we can learn from him. Acting out the characters in your stories. The first technique that Matt almost always uses is acting out the characters in his stories. Let's take a look at this clip.
So Malkovich, the fact that he was even going to come to do this movie, the whole crew was talking about it. I mean, for months, we're waiting for John Malkovich to get there. I mean, it's a big deal. Malkovich is coming, And Malkovich. No, literally, it was like, this was before, that movie too. So when he finally shows up, he gets there and, it's like, at that point, he's walking on water. And we do the first take, and John goes, "If you don't have my money, then you are mine." And I'm sitting across the table from him like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Like, we're talking like this, and suddenly the action, "If you don't have my money." And the crew bursts into applause. They're cheering. They're like, "Wow, amazing, amazing." And I'm looking at him, and I guess he sees me looking at him. And he leans across the table, and I lean in, and he looks at me, and he goes, "I'm a terrible actor." And it was just literally one of my favorite things that's ever happened on a movie. It was
I love it.
So brilliant.
That's
so
incredible.
Brilliant. And a lot of wisdom too, because if you get to that point where nobody gives you a straight answer, it's dangerous, But he was, obviously he's not a terrible actor. He's quite the opposite. He's brilliant. But that moment of just, it was.
By changing his voice and mannerisms, Matt brings the story to life, and it makes it way more entertaining. Well, you don't have to be an Oscar-winning actor to do this. Just have fun exaggerating the voices and expressions of your characters that you tell to tell much better stories. Number 2, committing to the bit. In this clip, we will look at how Matt completely commits to the bit when acting like Jack Nicholson. Notice how he doesn't change his voice slightly. He goes in all in with the exaggerated voices and expressions. This full commitment to the characters makes it far more entertaining. Let's take a look.
Actually, when I did The Departed, I was in this rehearsal in pre-production, and it was just me and Jack Nicholson and Scorsese. And we had a few hours together, and at one point Marty got up to either use the bathroom or have a cup of coffee or something, and it was just me and Jack in the room. And he turned around and he goes, "I never would have made it this far in my career if I wasn't a great fucking writer."
Really?
Yeah, out of nowhere. And it was the most, and I went like, and it was like everything clicked into place, and I went, Of course, like, how do you have a 40-year career without being able to put your own kind of imprimatur on something, or understand,
fix it,
fix it, or not touch a comma of it, and, you know what I mean, and
he knew it,
and be more often right than wrong. It's like, it's because he was a great writer. I'll give you one story. I've probably told you this because it's one of my favorite. It was my favorite thing that happened on The Departed, about a scene that I was not in, but he was, and the scene said, it was 1/8 of a page, and it said, "Costello," which is the name of his character, "Costello executes man kneeling in the marshes." Right? So you go, okay. Now, if you most people look at that and they'll go, all right, it's going to be one shot. That's going to be an hour of work, and that's all I'm doing that day or whatever. He looked at that and he goes, okay, I can do that, but I think I can make it better. And so he's telling me this story. He goes, so what I do is, he goes, "I come from the Roger Corman school, so I'm not going to add any time, and I'm not going to add to your budget. But instead of a man kneeling in the marshes, I make it a woman." And I go, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "So I'm going to execute a woman, but I'm not going to be alone. I put Ray in the scene with me," and that's Ray Winston, who plays kind of his right-hand man, this brilliant English actor. And he goes, "So I put Ray in the scene with me. And I do the thing, and I shoot her in the back of the head, like it says in the script. but if you leave the camera rolling, after she falls, I turn to Ray and I say, geez, she felt funny. Now that's a really sinister thing to say. Because it means I do this a lot and there's a way people fall.
Right.
And she didn't fall that way. And I go, oh, yeah, I get it, man. I get it. He goes, now you could end the scene there, but if you leave the camera rolling, Ray steps forward and he reveals that he's holding an axe. He's gonna chop her up.
Oh, man.
Now you could end the scene there. He goes, but if you leave the camera rolling. I turn to Ray and say, wait, I think I want to fuck her again. And he goes, now that's a very sinister line. I go, I get it. It's really, really, really disturbing. And he says, now you could end the scene there. But if you keep the camera rolling, Ray stops and looks at me. And there's a pause. And I go, ah. He goes, and that's a sinister thing to do because we're making a joke out of this whole thing. And I go, yeah, I get it. He goes, now you could end the scene there. But if you leave the camera rolling, God. Ray says, Francis, you really ought to see someone. And so that's what they did. He took this 1/8 of a page scene and he did all of that.
Yeah.
And they had 2 cameras on it so it could cut back and forth. And what Marty ended up cutting was he shoots her, she falls. He says, geez, she fell funny.
Right.
And Ray looks at him and says, Francis, you really ought to see.
One of the most impressive aspects of Matt Damon's storytelling is his willingness to go all in and all out and fully commit when doing impersonations of people's voices and mannerisms. He doesn't just do a quick throwaway impressions. He dives in and embodies the character 100%. He launches into a full raspy signature Jack Nicholson voice. So if you want to take your stories to the next level, don't hold back on doing impressions and voices. Study how the people in your life have talked, identify their quirks and catchphrases, and then throw yourself into it wholeheartedly when telling that story. It's a surefire way to get laughs and make your stories memorable and keep anyone you're talking to captivated and engaged. Number 3. Matt's admiration for his story's subjects. A prime example of Matt's infectious admiration when telling stories involves people he admires. You can hear the awe and even fandom in his voice sometimes when he describes in this clip where Tom Cruise and his commitment to performing Tom's own stunts no matter how dangerous.
He goes, oh, and you've met Tom.
Yes,
I mean, he's
yeah.
very, you're the only person in the world.
Everything else, he looks you right in the eye.
But it's not even that everything else disappears for him. Everything else disappears for you. It's just everything else went away, and suddenly I was
That's called falling in love.
It could be. It could be.
But I know exactly what you're talking about.
Notice how he tells this very endearing stories about Tom Cruise, about how when he was speaking to Tom Cruise, his entire world disappeared around him. So next time you tell a story about someone, make it so that they are the subject and they're a subject of admiration. This will show you're secure and make other people feel nice. Thanks for watching, and make sure to share, like, and subscribe for more tips on how to improve your communication skills.